I thought I had my 2025 planner lineup all figured out, but things took an unexpected turn. Some setups are working perfectly, but others, not so much. Let's just say I won't be making the same mistake next year. In today's video, I'm sharing what changed in my 2025 planner setup so far, what's been surprisingly disappointing, and how these lessons are already shaping my next year's lineup. Trust me, this one major issue is forcing me to rethink everything for next year. All right, if you saw my original 2025 planner lineup, you know I was super excited about how everything fits together, my Goldilocks moment, yada, yada, yada. But just to give you a recap of the original lineup, I have my Hobonichi weeks. This is for work. I have my Hobonichi Techo Planner B6 for deep thoughts, gratitude, and all that Dear Diary shit. My Traveler's Notebook for memory keeping. I have my Aura Estelle Daily for everyday planning, or what I fondly call my dashboard. And then I have my Archer and Olive. This is for creative journaling, collaging, watercolor, all that artsy stuff. And there's my other Traveler's Notebook, which I use for my fountain pens and ink journal, sorry. But since then, there were a couple of changes. So I thought my Traveler's Notebook would be my memory journal this year, but something unexpected happened. I received an incredible gift. Let me pull it out. It is a Louise Carmen notebook cover. And I instantly knew it would be taking over my TN. It's absolutely beautiful. It feels amazing in the hand, super soft, honestly. The minute I got it, I can't wait to use it. So instead of my Traveler's Notebook, this is going to be my new home for my memory keeping in 2025. The little backstory on this one, right? So this one has a sterling ink notebook. I got this. I got the sterling ink notebook around December, but I returned it because it's so thick, right? It has 512 pages of Tomoe River paper. So it's very thick. That's like what, an inch maybe? So if you put this notebook inside here, it will have like an overflow. So it just did not work. Like it even has an overflow here. So I returned it because it's not gonna work. So what I did was I ordered from Mom Cohen this it's a Traveler's Notebook collab. Instead of the regular Midori paper, it uses Tomoe River paper. So I got that again around December. So I was ready. As you can see, I already put the 2025 here. I was ready to use it. And then, yes, like I said, the unexpected happened. It was a very good surprise. I got this Louise Carmen instead. So I reordered the sterling ink 512 page notebook, and it fits perfectly here because you can't really see it, but if I take this out, the Louise Carmen is about an inch wider than this one. So it turns out very well. And it's I forgot what to call these, like this flap, right? So so even if there is an overflow, I can just, tighten it. But so far because I've been, as you can see, I've been consistently journaling for the month of January. It's been getting really chunky. So, you know, I use up a lot of my stickers and washi. So it's, yeah, it's been great using this, and it works out for this cover. So I'm very happy about that. But for people who are not familiar with Louise Carmen, you are not alone. I was not familiar with it either. When we went to Paris last year, we saw the shop, very interesting window, and we just walked in. So Louise Carmen is a Paris-based brand specializing in creating durable, refillable leather notebooks similar to Travelers. Unlike Travelers, though, however, these are customizable. It allows users to personalize them according to their taste and writing habits. So for instance, this one, I have some little trinkets in here, and I have my initials right there. And the color, of course, of the leather, it was chosen for me, I should say. So I didn't really customize it. The person who gave it to me customized it for me, which was, I really appreciate it. It was very thoughtful. This is crafted from high quality vegetable tan leather. I'm not sure how Traveler's Notebook is made, but it's much more thicker. I would say Traveler's Notebook is much thicker than Louise Carmen, and it's the leather is tougher. Is that a good way of describing leather? It's thick and hard. This one is super supple. So yeah, and this one I believe is also, the leather is sourced from France and Italy. So I think Italian leather in general are much softer. So yeah, if ever you're in Paris, please visit the store. I want to say it's in the second arrondissement and located in the Montorgueil district. So it is the flagship store, so you can actually make your customizations right there. Very, very nice. But that's not the only thing. That's not the only switch I made. So let's talk about my Archer and Olive A5. So originally, this was going to be my creative journal, space for art, collages, and messy creativity. But here's the thing, I realized I wasn't reaching for it at all when I want to be creative. And the reason for that is I do collage in all of my journals, even my planners. So essentially, I get to exercise that creative side of my brain. So having a dedicated journal would just be an overkill. So I think I just show you. I can't show you this much because this is my memory keeping, but I do collage, as you can see, right? So you can see there's a lot of collaging going on. There's a lot of creativity. Even my weeks, I do tend to do collaging here and there, you know, like it's not a lot because this is for work, so I need all the space I need. But essentially, yeah, I don't need this notebook for creative journaling. So I made a decision, actually just 2 weeks ago. Instead of forcing it to be a creative journal, I'm repurposing it as my media journal. Okay, don't expect anything inside yet, because again, I'm still kind of planning it out. I know it's a little better late than never. I know. I'm starting in February, maybe mid-February, but I'm kind of like planning it out right now on how to set it up as my media journal. So this will be for my books, movies, and shows I watch throughout the year. I've never done this before, so it's quite intimidating, but I also think it's a shift that makes way more sense on how I actually use my planners. So yeah, but all right, so wait, I know you're waiting for the disappointment part, the one I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the one issue that is making me rethink my entire planner system for the year. I mean, just thinking about it is making me annoyed, but before I jump to that, I just want to say that I'm so in love with the flow of how I use my journals this year. I catch myself grabbing my journals all the time now. I'm consistent. I think it's because I don't overthink it now. I don't get that anxiety when I have nothing to write and 90% of the page is blank. I mean, really, oh well, like for instance, my EDC, right? This is my Aura Estelle. You can see a lot of blanks. You know, some days I put more stuff in there. Some days I just don't, you know? So, and that's okay. That's okay. So I don't get the anxiety anymore when I have nothing to write, and you know, I just move on, basically. In my mind, tomorrow might be more interesting. So, oh well, right? And I'm also using up all my stickers and washi tapes without any guilt. So I just want to put it out there that while there are disappointments in this lineup, it's still half glass full. All right, so let's talk about the disappointment part, aka the Tomoe River paper. And I don't mean the old Tomoe River paper we all loved. I mean the new Sanzen version that's unfortunately in all of my planners. The Hobonichi, the Aura Estelle, my Sterling ink. I've been using it for all my planners, unfortunately, except for the Arch and Olive. I was so excited to use my fountain pen in these planners. Because as you know, fountain pens have been the biggest change this year for me. I'm obsessed with fountain pens and I want to use them, of course. So the TRP was one of the most fountain pen friendly paper out there. But with the recent changes, this new version just doesn't hold up. And that's a reality. My inks are bleeding through. The writing experience feels so different. And honestly, it's making me hesitant to use my favorite pens in my favorite planners. I even try to compromise by using gel pens for my EDC. That does not bleed through as much, but the ghosting is just a lot. So just want to show you some examples. Let me try to zoom in. I can't zoom in for some reason. Anyway, here's a good example. See all that? I don't know if you guys can see it. It's so hard to see it on camera. It's bleeding. See those little dots? I mean, you can practically read what I wrote on the other side, right? It is terrible, terrible. This is the Aura Estelle, which uses Tomoe River paper as well. This one is my Weeks, and again, you can see right there. See how it's bleeding? And this is using, I think it's my vanishing point in a fine. And I used, I don't know, like I've used the vanishing point. I've used right now I'm using the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. This is also fine. Using Sailor ink, I believe, which is pretty watery, but still, it's bleeding through. This has never happened in my other Weeks in the past years. I even used water-based markers. I think I've used a couple of gouache here. I mean, of course there's some ghosting if you use like watercolor, especially gouache, but it doesn't bleed through. There's no bleeding, but this one is just crazy, and that's just a dot, by the way. I don't know. So you know, I even tried to compromise by using gel pens, and that really didn't do anything. So with fountain pens, I tried different nibs, different inks, but the results are the same. So, and because this affects all my daily use planners, I have a feeling my next year's lineup will look a little different. I mean, I know based on some groups, Facebook groups that I belong to, and people are complaining about the new Tomoe River paper, and hopefully Hobonichi corrects them. So I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be final that I'm not gonna use Hobonichi next year. But if the quality of the paper doesn't change, then I don't know. Like I feel like for some people it's bearable, but for me, I guess because I've been using Hobonichi for years, like my expectation is really high on that. Like I know it's very minimal ghosting, very minimal bleeding, but it should not do that, right? So my expectation is I can use any kind of pen, gel pens, ballpoint pens, fountain pens, fine nib, medium, broad, whatever. Like I would still enjoy using it on my Hobonichi, right? And Hobonichi paper, or Tomoe River paper, I should say, is supposed to be really fountain pen friendly. It's supposed to show, the ink qualities much more vibrant, but for some reason it is not. It's just, it's pretty regular, like, and sometimes I even, because I'm scared of the ghosting part, I just use regular gel pens. Oh, look at that. Oh my God. I didn't even notice this is my last week's. Look, now it's literally bleeding through the page. This has never happened. I'm so sorry. Like some people might be okay with this, but a little bit of ghosting is understandable because it is a very thin paper. Like I when I first used Hobonichi Tomoe River paper, I knew that's the case, but that's okay. But the bleeding part, not good, Yeah, so that is my biggest disappointment for this year's lineup. So, what does this mean for next year? Well, I'm definitely looking into other options. I'll be testing different notebooks and planners throughout the year to find one that can handle fountain pens without any issues. So if you do have any suggestions, or if you're also experiencing the same thing and switched, let me know in the comments, please, because I would really love to have that conversation. I don't know, maybe a different GSM paper entirely? I'm not sure yet, but one thing is clear. I will try not to be dealing with this problem again next year. I'll be sharing my findings as I test new options. So if you're also frustrated with the new Tomoe River paper, make sure you're subscribed because I'll be exploring all the alternatives. So that is my updated 2025 planner setup. Some things stay the same, some things change, and some planners, well, they might not make it next year. Now, tell me in the comments, have you noticed issues with the new Tomoe River paper? Are you switching planners because of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next one. Bye.